They say animals don't forget, not the kindness, not the pain, sometimes not even the ones who vanish. In the heart of Oak Ridge, a small, quiet town tucked away in Oregon, a golden retriever sat faithfully on a worn-down green bench in the town park every night at exactly 8:07 p.m. Rain or shine, is summer or snow, he'd sit there, silent, still, waiting. Nobody knew where he came from. Nobody knew who he belonged to. They just called him Buddy. Locals had grown used to the sight, the loyal dog who waited, but one woman couldn't let it go. Emma Landon had come to Oak Ridge to disappear. She hadn't expected to find a mystery waiting for her, a former vet tech turned pet sitter. New animals. Knew when something was off? She'd been jogging the same park trail every evening since she moved in. It was therapy for her, a rhythm to help her heart stop aching after losing her dog, Max, and her fiancé, Jared, not long after. But the first time she saw Buddy sitting alone on that weather-worn green bench, her jog slowed, then stopped. He didn't flinch, didn't even turn his head. She crouched slowly. "Hey, Buddy," she whispered. "That's—" When he looked at her, not with fear, not with aggression, but something else, something heavy, something old. It wasn't just sadness in his eyes, it was knowing. The next evening, Emma brought him a piece of leftover chicken. He didn't eat. He sniffed it politely, then pushed it gently back toward her with his nose, as if to say, "I'm not hungry, I'm waiting." She sat on the bench across from him, watched him. 8:07 p.m. he arrived. 9 p.m. he stood up, shook out his fur and walked toward the woods on the park's edge. She followed at a distance, but he vanished before her eyes. No tracks, no sound, just gone. The next night, he was back at the bench. Same time, same posture. Emma started a log in her notebook. Buddy's schedule. Monday, 8:07 arrival. 8:58 departure. Tuesday, 8:07 arrival. 9:01 departure. Wednesday, rain. Still arrived. 8:07 sharp. It was clockwork, but why? At the local bakery, Emma casually brought him up over coffee. The barista Lila raised her eyebrows. "You mean the bench dog? Is that what people call him?" Lila leaned in. "He's been doing that for over 2 years." Emma blinked. 2 years? Yeah. Always shows up. Always leaves the same way. People tried to take him in. He refuses. Just walks back to the woods. Sheriff even tried tracking him once. Said he disappears halfway into the trees. Doesn't that bother anyone? Leela shrugged. People around here don't ask too many questions. Town's full of ghosts. Emma frowned. Ghosts? Lila looked out the window. Some folks say he's waiting for someone who never came back. Back home, Emma pulled out her laptop and began digging through Oak Ridge's public news archives. Events, obituaries, missing persons. She set the filters for 2 years ago, and then she found it. Missing Hannah Whitmore. Age 16, last seen, Oak Ridge Central Park, 7:45 p.m. August 17th, wearing a green hoodie, jeans, pink sneakers. Walked her. Golden retriever before dinner. Never came home. Emma's blood ran cold. She stared at the photo. The girl, the dog. It was Buddy, he had a name. Girl, a story. And she vanished without a trace. The next morning, Emma visited the sheriff's office. Sheriff Dale Mercer, a weathered man in his late 50s, greeted her with mild suspicion. Hannah Whitmore, he said, rubbing his chin. Yeah, I remember that one. Tragic case. No leads. Dog came back once, confused and scared, then disappeared. Thought he ran off. Emma leaned in. He didn't run. He's been coming back every single night. Same bench, same time. The sheriff stiffened. Don't start digging too deep, Miss Landon. Why not? Because some ghosts don't want to be found. In this town, we've learned to live with that. But don't you want justice? He stood. Justice and peace don't always go hand in hand. She left the office feeling more disturbed than before. That night, Emma didn't just follow Buddy. She waited when he stood up to leave at 9 o'clock. She followed through the trees with a flashlight and soft steps. She lost him again. But this time, something was different. She heard a whimper, then a low growl. She turned her light and saw something glinting in the dirt. A bracelet, rusted, faded pink. Tiny silver letters, HWEMM, gasped Hannah. Whitmore. The ground beneath was uneven, like it had been disturbed. She backed away, heart pounding. Was this where Hannah vanished? Or where she was buried? The next morning, Emma returned to the woods. Daylight revealed what her flashlight couldn't. The area was filled with disturbed soil, as if someone had dug there and then tried to smooth it over. Poorly, she crouched near the bracelet again, took photos, bagged it carefully. Buddy appeared. Beside her, silently, she looked at him. "You were trying to tell someone, weren't you?" He whined softly and nuzzled the ground again. "Is she here?" He barked. Just once a deep, mournful sound, and then he sat, as if standing guard. Emma's hands trembled. This wasn't just a mystery anymore. This was a grave. Emma brought the bracelet to the sheriff's office. He didn't even look at it. "We've searched those woods before. Clearly not well enough. You're new here, Miss Landon. You don't understand how things work. Then explain it to me." He sighed. "We got a call the night Hannah vanished. From her stepfather. Said she'd run away after Anne." Argument. Emma frowned. "And you believed him?" "He's a respected man in town. Runs the lumber mill. No reason to doubt him." "She didn't run. The dog has been coming back to the same spot every night, trying to show someone the truth." The sheriff looked away. "That case is closed." Emma realized something right then. It wasn't that they didn't care. It was that they were afraid of what they might find. Emma made a decision. She returned to the woods with a small spade and gloves and started digging. Buddy stayed beside her, watching, quiet, steady. 2 feet down, nothing. 3 feet. Loose stones for feet. Her spade hit something hard. She paused, reached down, and pulled out a decaying leather journal. Water damaged, but still sealed with a buckle. Inside were pages, smudged ink, but names, dates, entries. One stuck out. August 17th, he followed me again. "Told Mom, but she said I was being dramatic. I'm scared. I'm going to take Buddy with me tonight to the bench. If anything happens, it's him. It's always been him." The name signed at the bottom. Hannah W. Emma collapsed to her knees. The town hadn't just forgotten. It had buried her. Emma printed a copy of the journal page, slid it in an envelope. She stood outside the lumber mill the next morning, staring through the glass at a tall man giving orders. Robert Whitmore, the stepfather. He smiled and laughed with his workers, the image of a community man. But Emma knew better. Buddy had never gone near him. In fact, the one time they crossed, paths, Buddy growled so loud people stopped in the street. That wasn't coincidence. Emma couldn't sleep that night. The weight of the journal pressed on her like a storm cloud. She read it 3 times, each entry sinking deeper into her bones. There were more notes, more pages, filled with quiet fear, a pattern of unease, of avoidance. Hannah had been scared, and nobody had listened except Buddy. He had remembered. The next morning, Emma sat on the edge of her bed, staring out the window as the sun touched the tips of the pine trees. She glanced at her phone. 1 missed call, block number. 1 voicemail. She played it. "You don't know what you're stirring up, Miss Landon. Some things are better left buried." The voice was deep, male, calm. But it was a threat. She knew it. She copied the voicemail, saved the audio file, and backed up the journal photos to a secure cloud. Then she emailed them all to 3 separate friends in different states. Just in case, she wasn't going to stop. Not now. Not when the town had already forgotten Hannah once. Later that afternoon, Emma drove to the town library and met with Eleanor Briggs, the town historian and one of the few people who never stopped believing something had gone wrong. With Hannah's case, Eleanor was in her 70s, but sharp as glass. Emma handed her the journal. Eleanor adjusted her glasses, read one page, then another, and looked up slowly. "Oh dear," she whispered. "This is enough to reopen everything, and enough to get someone very angry." Emma nodded. "I think he killed her and buried her in the woods." Eleanor shut the book gently. "Need more than this? Small towns protect their own." And Robert Whitmore was the king of this hill. Buddy had followed Emma there, sitting just outside the library door, quiet, watching. Eleanor glanced out the window. "That dog remembers more than we ever could." Emma left the library with a new determination. She would find Hannah's body. The next 3 days were a blur. She brought in a friend, a volunteer, Search Andrescu, dog handler named Kyle, who owed her a favor from her vet tech days. He drove up from Portland with his cadaver dog, Molly. Emma introduced Buddy to Molly. At first they just sniffed, then Buddy led the way, through the trees, past the bracelet spot. Deeper into the woods, he stopped near a moss-covered log and barked. Once, Molly sniffed, froze, then started digging. Kyle looked up at Emma. "There's something here." They marked the site and called the state police, bypassing the local sheriff entirely. By the time investigators arrived the next morning, Emma had already been visited by someone else. A note on her windshield. "Leave it alone. Last warning. She." Didn't? The excavation took hours. Bones, fragments of clothing, a small silver necklace with a broken heart charm. It was her, Hannah, buried less than 300 feet from the park where she was last seen. News spread fast. Too fast. Emma watched from behind the police line as the sheriff arrived, pale and shaken. He wouldn't meet her eyes. Buddy sat quietly beside her, unmoving, until the remains were taken away. Then he stood, walked back to the bench. Down the next days were chaos. Robert Whitmore was arrested. Charges pending DNA and journal verification. His fingerprints matched those on the journal buckle. Investigators found items in his tool shed that linked directly to Hannah, including the other half of the heart-shaped necklace. The town was stunned. Some refused to believe it. Others had always suspected something wasn't right. Said nothing? Emma sat with Eleanor that evening on her porch. Eleanor shook her head. It took a stranger and a dog to do what no one else would. Buddy lay at their feet, eyes closed. Emma looked at him, "I think he can finally rest." But Buddy didn't stop going to the bench. Night after night, he still went, still sat. 8:07 p.m. Always the same. Until one night, 3 weeks later, he didn't come. Emma searched for hours, checked the trail, the woods, the bakery, the park, nothing then. Just past midnight, she heard scratching at her door. She opened it to find Buddy, and a small golden puppy beside him, tied gently to a leash. There was a note attached. She would have wanted someone to love him. Done waiting. Emma clutched the note to her chest, tears falling. She looked down at Buddy. He wagged his tail. Just once, and for the first time in months, he walked into the house on his own. That night, Buddy curled up next to the puppy in Emma's living room, exhaled deeply, and slept. Not the kind of restless sleep he'd had before, but the kind that comes when justice has finally been served. Months passed. Emma adopted the puppy, naming him August. In honor of the girl who disappeared that month, Buddy took to him like a father, or maybe a guardian. The town changed, too. A memorial bench was placed in the park, not the old green one. A new one, polished oak, with a plaque in memory of Hannah Whitmore. No voice go unheard, and no dog's loyalty ever be wasted. Emma still walks through the park every evening, sometimes with August, sometimes with Buddy, but they don't sit at the bench anymore. They just pass by, because that chapter is closed, and finally, dog who waited doesn't have to wait anymore. Not ever.